I'm a teacher who hated school. I remember the first days of school. I was 7 years old, and I walked into those school buildings, right, super excited about learning things, about gaining new knowledge, about exploring, finding out new things about the world. I was curious. I wanted to know everything. And then I ended up in this classroom learning how to write the letter A again, right? It wasn't the first time I wrote the letter A. It wasn't the 100th time either. But for some unexplainably stupid reason, I had to do it again and again and again and again and again and again. And somehow, this ended up to me sitting in a room by myself, doing something else by myself, having books for some other courses, locked away, not being able to take part in the collectively shared process of the class. I hated school. I'd been in a week of first grade and I just wanted out. I just wanted out, and that feeling stuck with me. It stuck with me up until the first moment where I could possibly just say screw it and leave. And when I could, I did. Now, that was not my last encounter with education. A few years later, I discovered the folk high school, a completely, radically, what I say, different way of learning. I was there studying theater. I was playing, writing, directing. I was doing journalism. I was learning on my own terms together with the people around me, collectively engaging together with people. I did this without ever finishing high school because honestly I was too tired of it. I couldn't put up with it. Then went back out into the world, traveled, I worked, I did all kinds of things, and then eventually sought my way back to the education system. At this point, I had been working as a project manager for big organizations, leading projects, leading people, but I thought everything I learned about leadership was just stupid and weird, and I found the Chaos Pilot. I studied for 3 years at the Chaos Pilot Enterprising Leadership Program. And this, without even finishing high school, I ended up with a paper saying that I had something equivalent to a bachelor's. And I learned things. I actually learned things along the way. Then I used these papers, I filed them, sent them to the School of Visual Arts in New York City, and got accepted to their master's program, Design for Social Innovation. This is weird. This was weird. This kid who hated being in school, never finished high school, suddenly got accepted to the Schools of Visual Art in New York City. But I never joined. All right, let me tell you a different story, or perhaps the same story but through a different lens. While most cars were still running on leaded petrol, while nobody gave a damn about throwing trash on the ground, while the word environment was something that was associated with dirty hippies, something about that spoke to me. Somehow, I cared. I became a vegetarian very early because I cared about the animals, I cared about the planet, right? I cared about these things. And as seeing all of that stuff around me, I realized that there is no shortage of problems. There is so much stuff that urgently needs our attention. There's so much stuff that we can work on. Honestly, the problem is not the problem. To find something to work on is not the issue. The problem is to figure out what can I, as a single individual, do? How can I choose to focus on something? How can I choose to focus my energy on something that makes sense not only to me, but creates a positive impact in the world around me? So based on that, I needed to take a step back. I needed to think a little bit about what do I have to offer the world. My dream was to create something within the educational system, the part of the educational system that I really believe in and still believe in. Something that would assist young people, to give them the tools and the possibilities and the capabilities to address these problems at large. That was the best thing that I could do. That was my dream. And so I founded education called Change Course, where we work action-based, by doing instead of reading a lot of books, where we work in a constant prototype where nothing is ever fixed and set, by constantly experimenting, by failing terribly and failing beautifully all at the same time. That was the dream that I had, and the dream is now alive.